Hey guys, before I get into the video, I want to tell you about this new series on YouTube. It's called What's in My Fridge. It literally takes you into the kitchens and refrigerators of some of your favorite YouTubers. It looks a little bit like this.
Hey guys, Cassie here from Vlogalates.
I'm Greg Benson of Mediocre Films.
Brussels sprout stalks are in season.
Cinnamon swirl bread makes the greatest French toast ever.
Now, I wasn't invited to be on the show, and it's probably because if you look in my refrigerator, there ain't nothing in there except beer and eggs, bro. And this giant bottle of hot sauce. Look at that. I think it's time to go to the grocery store, don't you? Anyway, the show What's in My Fridge is hosted on this new health and wellness and fitness channel called Upwave. You should click on my hair and go subscribe. Tell them I sent you. Speaking of food, it might be about time to feed these two dudes right here. Yo, this video is about how to debate. People on the internet are really bad at debating. People in general are really bad at debating, actually. Even really smart people sometimes. So I'm gonna help you out. Okay, there's a common misconception that the point of a debate is to change someone's view on a topic. But seeing as how debates often, if not usually, cover subjective topics about which people have strong convictions, changing someone's view on a topic is something that very rarely happens. Personally, I think a better goal than changing someone's view is to find what I like to call the fundamental disagreement. Okay, now first of all, any good argument is based on facts. If you have an argument but it's not based on facts, then you already lose. You're already doing it wrong. But the amount of facts that we know is finite. So I would argue that every position and every opinion can ultimately be traced back to one premise or premises that is accepted to be true without necessarily being proven as such. So the goal of the debate should be to find that fundamental premise that you and your opponent disagree on. And since that premise is often something that can't conclusively be supported or refuted, usually there's nothing more to argue after that. For example, I often find myself in religious debates, as you might imagine, and much of what I object about religion is based on science. So most of the arguments I make are hinged upon the idea that science is valid and reliable. Now, I think science has a good track record, but I can't necessarily prove that science will always be reliable, and someone else can't prove that it will not be. So if you disagree that science is reliable, then that's the fundamental disagreement. We can't argue about that because we can't prove it either way. Now, we can have a chat about the fundamental nature of existence and what's reliable and what's not, but that's all very metaphysical. And metaphysical discussions, while interesting, don't really get us anywhere. But a good thing about using this method of debate is that sometimes before you even get to that fundamental disagreement, you might find that one of your or your opponent's premises is in fact incorrect. And then maybe someone will win the argument. But like I said, I think that rarely happens. Alright, in a casual, informal debate, what you want to do is make a compelling argument. And people like to bring up all these logic rules and terminology and fallacies and stuff. But the fact is, in an informal debate, if you've made a compelling argument, it doesn't really matter how you've done it. An example, something I see on the internet a lot is appeal to authority. And the appeal to authority fallacy is when you basically say, this expert says that this is true, therefore it is true. Now, deductively, that's a logical fallacy because it's quite possible that the expert is wrong. Practically though, in an informal debate, this is usually a compelling argument. If you're debating a topic, you can usually expect an expert on that topic to be used as a reliable source of information on that topic. That said, there are a few things that people do all the time that are pretty much always bad to do in debates, whether formal or informal, and I'm going to talk about that now. Number one, begging the question. Begging the question is when your argument doesn't work unless you already assume that it's true, rather than stating facts and premises that naturally lead to the conclusion you're trying to make. Here's an example you've probably heard or used. There's design in the universe, therefore there had to have been a designer. You see, in that argument, the premise and the conclusion are basically the same thing. By virtue of saying there is design, you are assuming there is a designer. Number two, argument from ignorance. Argument from ignorance is when you assume something is true just because it hasn't been proven false, or vice versa. Example, well, no one's ever seen life on any other planet, so obviously there's not life on any other planet. This is not a good argument. It doesn't prove anything. An offshoot of the argument from ignorance is the argument from incredulity. Now this one's basically saying, I can't personally believe that this is true, therefore it's not true. Example, my daughter is a sweetheart. There's no way she's bullying kids at school. That little kid was obviously lying. Now this can happen as a result of not knowing all the facts surrounding something or willfully ignoring the facts surrounding something. And that leads me to my final argument, no-no. Number 3. Not knowing what the hell you're talking about. In general, if you are arguing for or against something about which you have not done the proper research, then you need to stop. And when I say research, I mean objective research. If you're trying to argue that kangaroos are awesome, you should read both pro and anti-kangaroo publications. And you should check the things that they say with neutral sources. If you don't know anything about kangaroos, then your opinion about them is not informed and you should not debate people about it. And I want to stress the importance of researching neutral and opposing sources. A person can spend thousands of hours reading articles and books that support their point of view, but you need to understand the criticisms and answers of the point of view you have and how to respond to them before you can engage in an informed debate about it. Now, I think the biggest problem when it comes to casual debate is that people hate to be wrong and they hate admitting that they're wrong even more. But I'm here to tell you that it's okay to be wrong. That's how you learn stuff. If you hold an opinion, you should welcome challenges to it. In general, though, no one knows it all. And every time you debate someone, you should be looking to get something out of it. Even if the person you're debating is completely nuts. That's just me though. What should the next video be about? Drop a comment. I want to give a shout out to all of the new subscribers. How you doing? Please press the like button. Subscribe if you like my hair. Holla.